This isn't food, it's a product designed in a laboratory with one goal in mind: to bypass your body's natural sense of fullness and make it impossible to eat just one. And for years, you've been blaming yourself. You've been told that your inability to stop eating that stuff is a personal failure, a lack of willpower. That is the most profitable lie in modern history. That lie dies today. We're not talking about calories or self control. We're talking about chemistry and control. I'm going to show you the exact biological trick the food industry uses to turn your brain into their biggest weapon. And I'm going to show you how to disarm it. Okay. Think of your brain's pleasure center as a room protected in a high security with a high security lock. And the food companies have spent billions hiring chemists to design the one perfect key for that lock. And then what they do is they attach that key to almost everything that you can eat. So everything that they make: the chips, the cookies, crackers, even spaghetti sauce. The moment you take a bite, their key is at the pleasure center door to your brain. And here's the truth: willpower is completely useless against a key that was perfectly designed to fit that lock. You can't wish it away, you can't reason with it. So, how do they engineer this perfect key? Well, it's a three-part formula. The bliss point is the first part of the story. Food companies, they don't have chefs or bakers. Their scientists find the precise amount of salt, sugar, and fat. Sorry, get out. My cat decides to start knocking things off of counters. He's in a new phase. Sorry about that. Okay. Um, so we have these food scientists, and they find the precise amount of salt, sugar, and fat that creates the maximum pleasure signal for our brain. It's not cooking, Wellness Warrior. That's not what food companies do. It's neurological manipulation. So the way we need to think about this is that they're engineering textures that just they melt in our mouth, and they fool our brain into thinking it's not eating anything. It's like if we're having only air. No signal ever goes from, stomach to brain telling us to stop eating. That's the normal thing that should happen. But it doesn't happen anymore. You eat and you eat and you eat the stupidity, and you never feel full. You never feel satiated. Okay. The third part of this process, this combination of salt, sugar, fat, it creates a dopamine spike in our brain, and then it crashes. And this happens than faster and more intensely than any natural food could ever make it happen. That creates a chemical craving and makes us chase getting more of it. And we have some more cookies or we have some more chocolate. And that now we're in a chemical chasing, eating, up, down spike of dopamine that creates the addiction loop. I fought with my weight for 6 years, and I struggled with pain for 23 years because yes, I was overweight for such a short I was struggling with pain way before I became overweight. And I struggled with these two things before I learned that companies had tricked me into eating addictive garbage. Okay. My name is Violet, just in case you're new here. And just like you, I thought I had a willpower problem until I learned how companies were using my biological hardwiring against me. This is the way our body works. Find a patch of berries, you eat that patch of berries because it allows you to store some fat on your body for the few moments where you wouldn't be able to catch whatever animal you're searching for, whether it's a bunny or whether it's whatever. Wellness warriors, we react to these foods, period. There's nothing we can do about it. We eat garbage and we react. So, if you can't fight the chemical key that they've attached to what now we are calling food, and that means that as soon as you bite it, that key is at the door of your house, right? It's inside your house, not even at the door of your house, it's inside your house. What are you supposed to do, right? You bite the thing, it's in your house, right? It's in my body and it's going to get to my brain. Well, the solution is actually very simple. You stop letting the key get in to your house. That's actually the first step, right? Your first mission for the next 7 days is to go on a key fast. What that means is that if you don't bite any cookies, any chocolate, or any other garbage, pasta, bread, it's attached to everything, Wellness Warrior. If you don't bite any garbage, then their weapons, those keys, can't get in your house, your body. So here's a simple rule to help you to tell what's a key from what's real food. So if it comes with a in a box, first of all, but if it comes in a box that has a long list of ingredients, the most important part of this is not the packaging, it's the long list of ingredients. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes I buy meat in boxes depending on where I go shopping. That list of ingredients, if it has first and foremost any chemical words, but secondly, if the one thing I'm trying to eat is made up of multiple things that aren't separate little pieces that I can say, this bag of salad has lettuce leaves and it has these kind of vegetables and right? If I can't pull out individual things, bread has multiple ingredients. That's a key. That's a key, Wellness Warrior. That's what lights up our brain. And for the next 7 days, if you only focus on those one ingredient foods, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, but if you eat vegetation, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, right? Tomato. If you eat one ingredient stuff, real food, there won't be an ingredient list. The cabbage has got cabbage in it, right? When I think about all the lies the chemistry used to hijack our brain, the manipulation that they invest in, right? Because it costs them money to think of all these lies. I have so many different emotions. I'm angry, and I don't know if I'm ever going to stop being angry, but I'm sad. I'm I'm sad for all the people that don't know this information. I'm sad for the years of my life that I lost because I didn't know this information, because I walked around in pain for so long. It really is hard for me to believe that I lost all that time. And I wasted all that time failing at trying to diet and to do weight loss. Weight loss weight loss keeps us focused on the wrong thing. Weight loss is what they want us looking at. But their key isn't about us gaining weight, which is the interesting part. Their key is about us eating their product. They they don't initially make money because we've gained weight. That's not initially what happens. Initially they make money off of us eating more of their stuff. But they only make money if we spend money, Wellness Warrior. That's the important thing here. If you don't spend money, they can't make money. So we buy their stuff, stage one. And then when we don't feel great, what do we need? We need medication, we need gym programs, we need all these other things because now we're overweight. We need medications because we don't feel well. Possibly eventually we need surgery. We need all kinds of interventions. That's where they make their money. And it all starts with training our brain to let that key get us into that cycle, right? That cycle that's spinning round and round and round, that's saying, you need to eat more. Oh, you need to eat more. You need to eat more. Oh, you need some more, because the key has opened the door to our pleasure center and we're stuck. Blaming myself wasn't doing anything good for me. I wasn't enjoying my life because, well, not just because I was overweight. That I can't even say that. It was mostly 90% because I was in pain that I wasn't enjoying my life. I tried to do activities and oh my God, it hurt. Everything I did hurt. When my daughter came into my life, the best thing that ever happened to me, and we would try to do fun things, play at the park, and just do fun things, my body would hurt. And it stopped me from playing at the park as much as I wanted to. It stopped me from going on the long rides with her that I wanted to. We could only take short rides because my knees would hurt. We could only go climbing once a summer because my back would hurt and my everything would hurt. When we went tree climbing, there were so many issues because my body was in pain. I want to take a moment, Wellness Warrior, because I want you to think about the woman that you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago. What really sucks for me is that before I figured this out, gosh, it's 7 years ago at this point, I lived 23 years. So that's my 30 years ago was when I felt my best before the problems. And then we are here today. I lost 30 years to this foolishness. So I want you to think about that younger version of yourself. For some of you, this started in childhood. I know. I was in my 20s, thank goodness. But I want you to think about, what would you say to her? What truth would you whisper in that version of you's ear? It's not your fault. You're being manipulated. This isn't food. Maybe you gently let her know that this is not a willpower problem. Accept that you're addicted, right? So that you can regain control of your life. I really want you to go to the comments and write the sentence, right? That truth that resonates just with you. Write the message that you would have loved to have found that would have saved you from all the pain, from the lost activities, that would have saved you from struggling. Because I want that message to be down there waiting for the next woman who needs to hear it today. I didn't get the chance to say these things to my grandmother or my aunt before they passed. And I'm super glad that I've had the chance to say it to my mom, my dad, all the people in my family. And I'm really glad I get to say it to you. Getting rid of the keys isn't the end goal, Wellness Warrior. It's the beginning, it's the start. The real prize is what happens when the food noise in your brain goes silent. When you can't hear that, your brain isn't pushing you to go get chocolate or cookies. I keep saying chocolate because that was my thing. Your brain isn't pushing you to go get that stupidity. You're not chasing junk food all the time. The real happiness comes when your body feels amazing. First of all, when I was back to climbing, so we went tree to tree climbing again, and I did it after 3 months of. So learning this piece of information sent me on a journey that 3 months later healed my body to the point where I was able to go tree climbing with my daughter. At the time, she was 9 years old. Am I right? No, she was not 9 years old. Sorry, at the time, she was 12 years old. And easily, Wellness Warrior, easily, we, I climbed. And the next day, no pain. My body felt fine. That was the first time that had ever happened, that I went climbing with her because we started climbing together. So I went climbing with her and my body was not in pain. It was the first time it ever happened so she was 12 in the 8 years of climbing that we had done. And we still climb to today. As a matter of fact, loved it so much, added indoor bouldering to our types of climbs because I felt amazing. And can I point out that when we went climbing that summer, I was still overweight. I still had 60-ish pounds, I would say, to lose. I'm guessing right now because I'm not looking at my chart, but I had 60 pounds-ish, I would say, to lose. Your body wants to heal. Your body will heal amazingly swiftly when you give it the right things, one ingredient foods. That is what your body needs. Those one ingredient, removing processed garbage from your life is what this video is all about, if I'm not being clear enough. I want you to remove processed garbage from your life because if you do that, your body can finally heal. And then when your body is healed, when you feel better because your body heals, your weight actually can regulate, right? Because a healthy body regulates its weight. And again, it's something that we don't understand, but it's because these garbage foods that have that key to our dopamine center, the pleasure center of our brain, they cause us to overeat, right? The companies will tell us, no, you just need to have better willpower. I can't have willpower against a key created to stimulate my brain into being in an addictive cycle. That is an impossible thing to try to fight. Ask the people that you know who are addicted to other things. Cigarettes, how do they get rid of them? They stop smoking them. Excessive drinking, how do they get rid of that? They stop drinking it. What else can I say? Uh, any other stuff that people, if you're gambling, you stop going to the casino, right? Or the places where those machines exist. Now, back to the benefits of doing this. My body is healthy. My weight is back to normal. But because my brain's reward center isn't going off, that pleasure center isn't going off every 5 seconds, my brain fog is also gone. I did not know that I had brain fog. I had no clue. I only found out when my brain wasn't constantly chasing junk food, constantly chasing garbage, constantly chasing foolishness. That's when I understood that I had brain fog. Yeah, because when I stopped eating the stuff, all of a sudden I was thinking clearer than I had ever thought that I could ever remember, first of all, but that makes sense because I've been eating garbage since I started eating food because processed, right? Processed baby food exists. I think for a living, wellness warrior. So that was a benefit, a positive, a plus that I was so happy to receive. And I want you to have the same. I also got better energy because, well, first of all, I'm sleeping better. Because strangely enough, somehow these foods don't allow us to sleep restfully. I'm not exactly sure how they stop us, but I envision that it might function something like how people who drink sometimes will wake up in the middle of the night and struggle and need to drink some more to go back to sleep. I've heard people say that this also happens to them when it comes to food. I've never gotten to that point where I needed to wake up in the middle of the night because I was just so extremely hungry. I need to go get something to eat. I didn't get to that point, thank goodness. But could it explain why I didn't sleep restfully? Like maybe my body was, wanting me to get up, but then I was too tired to get up. I don't know. But apparently that's a thing. And the final thing that I'm going to throw at you today is when you do this, your confidence, it increases. And that's not something, again, that I thought would have been a thing because why would I be more confident? What would cause me to be more confident? And what I think happens is, first of all, your body feels good and you're thinking clearly. And so if I'm not worrying about how I look, and if I know that my thoughts can put all my ducks in a row, then I'm much more likely to just feel okay with whatever I'm doing and who I'm talking to and what I'm saying. And therefore, I have more confidence in my ability to interact. But I'm going to take this to another level. I also gained confidence in going out to parties and work events where junk food exists. And the reason that I gained confidence in that is because my brain was no longer on that dopamine roller coaster. Because my brain was not on the dopamine roller coaster, I wasn't constantly thinking about junk food. I'm not going to say food because I never was truly thinking about food. I wasn't thinking about meat, fish, poultry, eggs. I wasn't thinking about fruits and vegetables. I hate fruit, so that wasn't strange, but I wasn't thinking about vegetables. What I was thinking about usually was pizza, processed food foolishness, um, chocolate bars, processed foolishness, um, ice cream, processed foolishness, cookies, processed foolishness. I never was thinking about food. My brain was cluttered with the get your next fix Violet conversation rather than focused on what I was actually supposed to be doing. The reason I can sit in front of stuff like this and it doesn't get eaten, and by the way, just so you know, there is chocolate on my desk too, and it doesn't get eaten, is because I don't care anymore because I stopped eating the keys. If you don't have the key in the house, then the door can't be opened. I needed to block the key to the actual house so that they couldn't get to the key to the room. And by doing that, Wellness Warrior, I got me back. And I want you to get you back because that's what happens when you aren't constantly fighting the urge to get a chocolate bar. Your mind is able to focus on your real goals. Your life goals, I am certain, are not about what you're eating next for supper or lunch or what snack you're going to have in between breakfast and lunch. That is not actually what you want your life to be about. That's wasting your life. Whatever it is that you actually want to focus on, whether it's the work you do that helps people. I'm so proud of the work that I do because I help people help them change and solve life issues, real life issues. I help people in this channel, I help people solve their health issues. I want to focus on my family. That's another important thing for me. What about your family? What about your friends? What about your hobbies? What are the things that you would really want to be spending your time doing, Wellness Warrior? When your mind is clear, you're actually working with yourself rather than against yourself. You believe in yourself again because you stopped letting the key in, which is what made you think you were betraying yourself. So I'm gonna make sure I say that correctly because you never were trying to betray yourself. They had us, they had me so manipulated. They have you so manipulated that you cannot see that the stuff you eat is what causes you to betray what you actually want to be doing every day in your life. So, this is about taking back control so you can prioritize your health, right? You're going to prioritize health over the taste of fun foods. You're going to prioritize health over drinking. You're going to prioritize health over the processed foolishness because a healthy body is a body that isn't at war with itself and it regulates its weight. Now, to focus on cravings, I want you to watch the video that I linked in the description, right? So you have more details on how to get your cravings under control. That video is in the description. I'm also going to encourage you to join the group coaching if you want to work on the mindset to lose weight and to keep it off, because I'm going to be in there tonight again at 7 o'clock Eastern time talking. We had a great conversation last week, so I want to have another great conversation this week talking about the mindset we need to our keep on track with our eating healthy and using fun activities and hanging out with people to have fun. Eat for health, have fun with people and activities and doing stuff. And in order to be in this meeting, you need to join the $5 group coaching. It's still on special. I made it $5. So I want you guys to go join there and like be in the meeting. Take advantage. The price is going to go back to normal soon. So take advantage of the special that I'm offering you. And now let me take a look at the questions and comments. And I hope there are people in here. I would love to say hello. Stephanie, glad that you were able to leave us this message earlier. So everyone, Stephanie was here and she's going to watch later. Craig Villani, I'm still bombarded by sugar diet. Proponents, oh my goodness, are you still getting that? Especially Lauren loves carbs. The snarkiness and the arrogance of these channels, i.e., hench herbivore, is mind boggling. So I did make a video about the sugar diet. I actually have some follow up thoughts because I saw some more stuff. It's interesting, like once you watch a video on it, then all of a sudden you are seeing some stuff. And I have some more thoughts that I will share in a video. But the thing that kind of frustrated me is so what I remember from another YouTube, oh my goodness, am I going to forget his name? He's a scientist and he makes videos. Well, okay, my thought was that he was carnivore, but maybe it's not. Oh, Norwitz, Nick Norwitz, that's his name. Anyways, the reason that I watched a video from him and it frustrated me and it made me think more about this diet was that he came in and he's talking about the science behind why this diet works. And I keep this video today, Wellness Warrior, should help you to understand why Nick making that video would piss me off. The diet doesn't work. And I'm going to be very clear on what I mean. Just because you've lost weight doesn't mean that the diet works, because over time, the damage you're doing to your body eventually will lead to what? Will lead to inflammation and you regaining the weight. So, as we all know, 6 months, Dr. Fung, and if you don't know, I'm going to tell you, 6 months, Dr. Fung has explained this. It takes 6 months for your body to understand the new diet that you're doing and adjust if necessary. So if you're eating a bunch of stupidity, 6 months later, your body will adjust. And when we do calorie restriction, the adjustment that we see our body make is it slows down as much internal process as it can so that it can make the little bit of energy coming in make sense until we find the right food. That typically results in what? It results in us being lethargic, having brain fog, and damaging our bodies because what we are eating is not the right food. So, does the diet work? Well, what are you wanting it to work for? If what you're trying to do is force weight loss, yes, the diet works. But Wellness Warrior, if you pay attention to what I'm saying, that's not the definition of a diet working. When you bring your baby home, you feed your baby, or we're supposed to be feeding our babies, what is going to help it to be the healthiest. Now, I want you to take what I'm saying today. Processed food is not what will help your child to be the healthiest. It's what turns the key and opens the door to the pleasure center of their brain so that they can have your child trapped from day one. I should have said that earlier, but that's what it's doing. And since that's what it's doing, is that really what we want? And obviously, it's not what we want. So I'm really encouraging you, pay very pay very close attention to what we say is working. What is working is my body gets healthy, and then my healthy body gets me to my healthy weight. So let's round up the story and finish it up. I mentioned that it took 3 months for my body to get to the place where my inflammation issue was healed. And I was back to doing my activities. My body felt great. That took 3 months. Do you know how long it took my body after I felt better to lose the other? So I lost 20 pounds while my body was healing me. And then it took 2 months. By month number 5, Wellness Warrior, I was at goal weight. It is so important for us to understand that fighting with our body doesn't work because there are biological mechanisms that our body is doing to keep us as healthy as possible because it doesn't care how much we weigh. What it cares is how healthy we are. And that process that happens, that causes weight gain, what we all ignore, but that is super important for us to understand, that process of putting toxins in fat storage is what stops us from having health issues earlier. And one of the things that I've paid attention to over the years, more particularly in the last 8 years since I've learned this information that I'm sharing with you right now, actually, it's 7.5 years that I'm sharing with you right now. What I've been paying more attention to is the fact that people who are thin but eat a lot of garbage tend to have other health issues earlier than us overweight people who eat a lot of garbage. When you watch the trajectory, the thin people end up getting called out on diabetes, on health, heart issues, blood pressure issues. Uh, my brother got called out on blood pressure issues as a teenager. um, all kinds of stuff gets called out younger. Skin issues, my entire family, the eczema issues in my entire rash issues in my entire family from 3-ish years old and forward. People who are good weight get the physical health problems first, and guess what happens eventually? Yes, my family, the weight still comes on eventually. So, what's our definition of it worked? It's working. What's our definition? We need to be careful on the definition that we're using, Wellness Warrior. Jess, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that this information is helpful in teaching you something, and if you love the channel, please share it. That would be helpful to me as well. And hit the like button if I said something today that you found helpful. I'm not really good at the YouTube thing. I don't remember to ask for stuff. Um, thank, thankful that I lost the baby weight. I never thought possibly, okay, that you would lose it, by the way. And the baby turned 34 this year. So my question to you, Lynette, is when did you lose the baby weight? Did you lose it right away after your child was born? Or did you lose it when you learned the mistake that was causing your reward center of your brain to constantly be screaming and sending you out to chase food? But it no matter when we figure this out, we figure it out. And this is why I'm talking about this too. Like people look at me and they're like, "Well, you're older and whatever." But I am. I'm older. I was 46 when yeah, when I figured this out. Wow. Yeah, I was 46 when I figured this out. I had lived 23 years because around 23 is when the pain in my knees, and I remember going to the doctor for the pain in my knees. I was like 23 when it first started. So that's 23 years of my life given away because I didn't know that the processed foods that I was eating was causing me to chase. And how could I have known? I was eating this stuff from the day that I was born because bread is a processed food, right? And we buy bread at the store. It's not even like we're making it homemade where we could at least control more of what's going in it. So I was having bread, I was having um, crackers, I was having, of course, my parents bought cookies and ice cream and moderately. I'm one of the lucky people that grew up in a household where I did not have as much junk food as my cousins even. And again, I see the difference. My family that's full of these skin issues, my cousins much earlier to the skin issues issue than myself. So and also the order of what bothers us is different too. My cousins and other people in my family seem to have skin issues before their joint issues, whereas I had joint issues before my skin issues. But the skin issues eventually happened. I had joint issues before my weight issues. But the weight issues eventually, so it was skin, it was joint, then skin, then weight. right? Your family genetics is going to play a role on what gets you. Some of us have mental health issues. This is what I learned from Dr. Georgia Eid. She helped me to really zone in on the fact that a lot of the mental health problems that go back in history were rare, now today are so common. And it's rare by percentage, by the way. I want to make sure I point that out. It's not, well, there's more people, so there's more. No, it's rare by percentage. The amount of people doesn't explain the increase. And yet, here we are today, fast forward to today, all these people have so many more mental health problems. Why? What level of garbage are you eating? So, in my family, my parents were food first family. Snacks were for once in a while and they were for special occasions, but they weren't all the time. When we had when we if we were hungry between meals, we could have yogurt or we could have fruit. So like more real things, even though yogurt we know today has a lot of chemicals in it, but for the time, like we weren't snacking on cookies or whatever that my cousins were allowed to do. They were allowed to do that, right? And grow fast forward to when I was an adult, the health issues started for me 23, or at least that's when I noticed them. Well, that's what we'll say. So I started to notice my health issues 23. My joints were the first thing. My cousins had already been struggling with skin issues and the ones who did have joint pain issues well before that. So it is interesting to me. And I really want us to understand, yeah, what is the goal? What are we working on? What, right? So whenever you figure out to lose the weight, that's what's important. Like once you know this information, apply it. Because the more you apply it, the better. From Greece. Whoa, thank you for saying hello from Greece and let me know where you are. I'm not sure what time of day it is there, but I know that you're not close by. So, oh, you said it's afternoon. It's afternoon. I don't understand why my belly came out, although I was walking 1,500 steps all summer. Well, the one thing I will say is that walking is great exercise. Women, our largest muscles are typically our legs. So I'm not sure if you're Ava. If I'm saying that right, I'm assuming lady. But if you're a dude, regardless, it doesn't matter which way. For women, our biggest muscles are our legs, but they're still big muscles even on a dude. Um, and so, are they the biggest muscle on both men and women? I'm not even sure. It could be. But the reason I say that is that we're always encouraged to walk, ladies, because that's going to burn the most calories, blah, blah. Your body doesn't understand calories. So your stomach being distended, so puffy, isn't about walking or how much you walk. I'm not saying not to walk. And 15,000 steps, that's a good amount of walking. I mean, if you can get it in and you like doing it, do it. That's great. But I can also tell you, I never hit 10,000 steps in a day. I work too much, basically. And on the weekends, um, I'm still working because I'm doing this stuff. So I never get my 10,000 steps a day and I'm at goal weight. I do try to move around. I do try to walk around. I do try to get some exercise, which is why I like doing activities because I can do short bursts of doing something that pushes my body. But the truth is, I'm at goal weight and I've been at goal weight for 7.5 years. Yeah, 7 years. Let's not count the 5 months it took me to get there. So I've been at goal weight for 7 years at this point. And it has not been because I've been working out. It has not been because I've been getting my 15,000 steps. It's not been because of any special anything I'm doing except eating only real food. 7 years ago, the thing that I changed was I stopped eating this stuff or even this kind of stuff, protein bars, and I started eating real food, one ingredient foods. I do not eat any high starch foods. So I don't eat rice and potatoes and pasta. Like I eat only, so the first 7 years, or sorry, the first 5 years, I only ate low glycemic vegetables. I didn't eat fruit. I'm just being really honest with you. I didn't eat fruit, low glycemic vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, eggs. And I cooked them the way that they tasted good to me, whatever spices I liked. It's almost 2 years now that I will now be at the point where I stopped eating all vegetation. That means I took the vegetables out of my diet and I removed the spices out of my diet. I only kept salt. So anytime I cook a meal, that's the way it's made. Every other week, my spouse and I go out to eat and I order meat. If I can get the meat cooked with just salt, I do. But there's some restaurants that we go to, like a Greek restaurant that I love to go to, where I'm not able to cook it, like get it cooked the way that I want. But I still only take the meat. And because I've always kept that one meal in rotation, it doesn't bother me. So, what I mean by it doesn't bother me, I know there are spices in there that I normally would not eat, but they're at a level that don't cause me to have a reaction. And because I've always kept it in my meal plan, so I've never taken that meal out of my meal plan, I can still have it. I will guarantee you that if I not even if I don't even have to do an if because it's happened already. There's another restaurant that I had in the rotation. So there were two restaurants that we would do every other time we go out. So how many times did I say I go out per month? It's twice a month. It's twice a month I go out. So every other weekend we go out to eat a meal out. And that allows us to have these two restaurants in our rotation. The one restaurant, like I said, the Greek restaurant, and the other restaurant was a Korean restaurant. Our favorite Korean restaurant shut down for a little while. They needed to do repairs. And you know what happened to me? I stopped going to the Korean. So we were just going to the Greek restaurant. No, we should have changed to another Korean restaurant and kept it in rotation. We did not. That was my mistake. And guess what happened, Wellness Warrior? We went to the Korean restaurant when it finally reopened months later. This is like maybe half a year later. And when I ate the meal, stomach distress, bloating, bathrooming, not a happy person. So, what does that mean? That I would either A, need to start going to that restaurant and forcing my body to let this restaurant be in our rotation, or accept that that restaurant is now no longer in rotation. My spouse and I have decided to accept that that restaurant is no longer in rotation. But these are decisions that we make. Why did we decide to make this decision? Well, we like the other restaurant. It makes delicious food. Neither of these two restaurants are the restaurants that we go to when we're celebrating something. So we'll go to a fancier restaurant where we can actually say to them, cook my meat with only salt. That's all I care about. Please use butter. Instead of like when we can go to a restaurant and give that kind of micro detail instruction, we do it. And that's what we do for when we're going out for our anniversary or we're going out for one of our birthdays right? Then we'll do that version because we want to do a fancier restaurant. The point I'm making to you, once you know what opens and closes the door to chasing, because those spices were still triggering this, but they were also disturbing my gut, which I didn't even talk about that today. The fruits and vegetables that you're eating that are disturbing your gut. So Ava, and I hope I'm saying that wrong, right? Those, whatever you ate that caused your stomach to be distended is what you need to focus on, because figuring out what's causing you bloating, what's causing your stomach to or maybe even worse, causing you to create belly fat, the dangerous kind, not just the regular subcutaneous, but the visceral belly fat, if that's what's happening, you actually need to solve that because that's dangerous for good health. So, the next thing you said is maybe I should walk less. I think I stress my body. So, I will say that cortisol can cause problems for our body. If you're trying to lose weight and stressing about it, and you already have an anxiety story, if you already have a lot of stress in your life, and this is one more stress that you're putting on top of yourself, and it consumes a lot of your time and energy, then yes, the cortisol part of the story could be something that's causing your weight not to regulate. That could be causing you to be storing visceral fat. It could be causing all kinds of problems because when we are anxious and our cortisol levels are high and we're extremely stressing 24/7 and all the things, cortisol is releasing sugar back into the system because it thinks we need it to fight whatever it is we're trying to fight, right? And that again causes your insulin to be high because your insulin doesn't want too much sugar in this, and so these hormones are going to be interfering with each other, and hormone stability and hormone balance are hugely important for good health. So, on that part of what you've said, what I will say is your body will regulate your weight when it's healthy. The only way for your body to get healthy is for us to stop eating garbage. If you eat garbage, basically carbohydrate garbage, by the way, if you don't know what garbage is, it's carbohydrate garbage. So if you eat garbage, then your body's going to react. And if your body's reacting, then it's going to focus all of its energy on getting that toxic sugar, those toxic chemicals in whatever the process, whatever it was you ate. It's going to be struggling with the key because the door is open and your body is saying, eat more chips, eat more chips, eat more chips, even though you know that that's harming you. And your body might not be saying, eat more chips, by the way. Your body might be saying, you need another plate of rice. Your body might be saying, you need another sandwich. Your body might be saying, but potato salad is healthy. Eat more of that. These are all places where sugar lives. And sugar is one of the main drivers that opens the door to the pleasure center of our brain. But when the scientists combine it with salt and fat, it's even more power. But you can open that door with potato. You can open that door with a bunch of peppers and hummus dip because that's all carbohydrate. We need to know what opens the door. Hello, Maria. Oh, sorry. Hello, Marie. Um, hello from London, UK. Love the way you explain about sugar in one of the videos. Simple and clear. Thank you. I'm really trying to make this as clear, as simple as possible because it upsets me that I was overweight for as long as I was. I know it was only like 6-ish years, but it's still 6 years that didn't need to be. No, 8 years, 9 years. Oh my gosh. You know what? When you get healthy, your brain just kind of closes. That's the other positive thing about getting healthy. Once you are better, your brain says, "Up, let's move on." And it's so hard for me sometimes to remember like the dates and the numbers and the well not April 20th, 2018. I'll never forget. That's the day I started keto. But the dates and the numbers and how long was I overweight because I wasn't overweight my entire life. I lived my life at a healthy, normal weight right up until I got pregnant and I had my daughter and I kind of went back to almost normal and then it just took off, right? When the stress maybe of taking care of a child and being back at work and all the things, and also the not having access to real food and having to eat lunch on the run and supper on the run because the job that I was doing back there meant sometimes I didn't finish work till 11 o'clock at night and all kind of stupidity because it was just crazy my life back then with a baby at home waiting for me. That often, see, again, this is why I changed my job and I stopped working for the government and went to working for myself because I was never seeing my kid. What is the point of having a kid if you never see your kid? And now my thought and statement to you today is, what is the point of having children if you can't play with them? What is the point of having friends if you can't do activities with them? What is the point of any of this if all I focus on is stuffing my face and not living any other part of my life? And that's what was actually happening right in front of me until I learned that my brain was being controlled by this dumb stuff, or this dumb stuff, more likely this dumb stuff. You know, these, I couldn't even barely eat them because of the sugary, because of the sugar coating that's on the outside. So I wouldn't eat Smarties. Somehow the M&M sugar coating was less aggressive to my tongue and I could get through those. But it just goes to show you that somehow my brain would encourage me to eat something that was actively hurting my tongue. Now, I didn't eat pure candy because that wouldn't have made sense. That hurt my tongue. But if M&Ms was the option available, I would still eat them and I would suffer the problem on my tongue. Luckily for me, I wouldn't eat candy just to eat candy. But you know what I would eat? Actually, I have one of these here too. These are these are, what do you call those things when you have a sore throat? Those so if I had a sore throat, I would suffer through having one of those because, well, I need to be able to talk, and I can't be coughing all the time while I'm talking and whatever because I talk for a living, as you can see. And not realizing that that's just another trick to get us to unlock the door so it can push me to get whatever craziness I'd have for supper, pizza or burger and fries or whatever. It's never ending, Alna Sawyer. It's never ending. It's never ending. Thank you. I appreciate that you think my explanations are good. My goal, as I started to say, was that I want everyone to know that the problem you're actually living is that you're addicted to sugar without knowing. And I would hear a lot of people say that if you're addicted to sugar, or maybe you're addicted to sugar, or if you can't stop eating it, you might be addicted to sugar. And I'm really pushing back on that. If you eat processed foods every day, you are addicted to sugar. The same way that if you drink alcohol every day, you're addicted. Now, people are going to argue with me, but if I just have one, all that means is that right now you're good with one, but you're still having one every day. And I want you to think about that for a second. Name something else that you would eat the exact same something every day. And I think this is part of the way that they get us because we have so many options. Like on my desk right now, I have protein bar, I have cheese and crackers, I have the candy thing, I have chocolate, I have pasta, and I have barbecue sauce. That's just on my desk as examples that I wanted to show you. But if you stop and think about when you walk into a grocery store, the number of options you have to make you think that you're not having the same thing every day. But now let's compare the same thing with the same thing. So it's possible that I could eat every single day steak, as we see a lot of carnivore channels do every day. They're having beef. Some of them actually having steak, but some of them any kind of beef. So they might have ground beef, they might have ribeye steak, they might have brisket, they might have ribs, but all different kinds of cow. What's interesting is that most of us wouldn't do that. Most of us, our protein source, so I'm just talking protein source right now, is going to be meat, fish, poultry, or eggs. But for clarity, those channels with those people that are just eating cow, the one thing that I want you to pay attention to is that they're not complaining. It's not like they're eating it and saying, oh, this is so boring and I can't stand this and whatever. Nope. So they're eating one thing. So one animal. I'll give you myself as the example: pork, chicken, fish, usually salmon. So I'm going to be even more specific there. Salmon and I can't remember what those things are called in English. Pat, I see that you're here. If you're able to give me the word, they're pontons in French, but I can't remember the word in English right now. But those things, um, and then we have um, yeah, meat, fish, poultry, yeah, and I have eggs. I do eat eggs, but I eat very specific fish, salmon, and those other things. So what would that tell us? I'm rotating meat, fish. So even, and I'm gonna get even more specific. I'm rotating pork and chicken and ground pork 90% of the time. So three things. I have eggs beside my pork, beside my chicken, beside my ground pork. So I'm rotating three base meats most of the time. And then I will have fish maybe once a month, once every other month. I don't have fish that often. I just have it enough to help myself to make sure I get my omegas and whatever, but I don't have it all the time because there's omega-3s in other foods that we eat. That's what I learned. Wellness warrior, does that not sound like that would be the extreme of extreme boring diet? And yet every time I sit down to a meal, I am so happy for the meal in front of me. First of all, it tastes amazing to me. I love the way it tastes. I cook them the way that I like with the right amount of salt to make these things taste amazing to me. And I'm never bored. I'm never tired. And when I stop and think about it, it reminds me of the cat that was driving me crazy earlier. It doesn't matter what kind of meat I put in front of him. It doesn't have spices and all the other stuff. It doesn't have crazy whatever. It's just a piece of meat. He is so happy for his shredded meat because it's shredded. But that's all it is. It's shredded meat with, so it has animal, the meat, the bone, the innards, the organs. It's just shredded animal. And whether it's meat or fish or poultry, he's happy to have something to eat. Wellness warrior. They have us not understanding that cookies and ice cream and bread and pasta and rice and potatoes and peppers are all carbohydrates because there are only four macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. What I eat on rotation, a bunch of protein and fat, because protein and fat come packaged together. It's the other thing that's so impressive and amazing to me. We don't need to eat carbohydrates. Okay. Now, if protein came all by itself and carbohydrates were tied up in the vegetation, we would have no choice but to eat them. That's not what happens. Most vegetation is quite low in fat. And most vegetation is a kind of fat that our body doesn't actually use to build itself. It's not the right structure. But we're told to eat it. We're told to eat the vegetation. The fat that's right in structure is the one that comes along with the meat. So, do some animals eat only vegetation? Yes. Do those animals need fat? Yes. So some vegetation has fat in it. I'm not sure if I can say all vegetation has fat in it. Maybe it's just a low ratio, but regardless. But those animals that eat things that have very low vegetation, low fat in it, you ever notice how much they have to eat? Like cows are constantly eating. Giraffes are constantly eating. Like most herbivores are just constantly eating. I don't want to be in the story where my life goes to eating. It's I've given enough time to eating. Hey Pat, glad you're here. Glad you made it. No questions, no comments. Okay. Um Good morning, True 67, and thank you for its lozenges. Thank you. That's what those things are called. I appreciate you. Ah, and Laura N. If there's more questions, put them in now before I get through this question because I don't see any more. It looks to me like I'm at the end of my list. But if you have more questions, I'm more than happy to answer. So, Laura N. Coffee. I'm addicted to afternoon coffee. My question to you is, first of all, do you put anything in your coffee? But coffee is a stimulant, right? So again, it's going to stimulate our brain. It's going to make us feel like we kind of need it to get through our afternoon if that's how we've been getting through our afternoon because the caffeine will give us a little boost. And so there's two parts to this. There's the physical, like my brain is getting a boost, but there's also the emotional, psychological. I know I can't get through my afternoon without a coffee equals I won't even try to get through my afternoon without a coffee. So I'm going to give you the flip side of this coin. Myself, um, when I first started doing keto, I was doing, um, well, I was doing 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, supper. Eventually, breakfast fell away because I just wasn't hungry in the morning. And then lunch fell away because I was my hunger wasn't happening, and then eventually I was having just one really large meal. And yes, the meal was still more than like in calorie terms because I've gone back and I've checked this because people are, well, you were in a calorie deficit. I was eating like anywhere between 1700 and 2500 calories per meal. So on the low end 17, on the high end 25. And trust me, I had a lot of 25s, more than I had 17s while I was losing weight. So it doesn't explain my weight loss. But what it did do was it helped me to get comfortable with the idea that my body will tell me when I'm hungry. And that allowed me to lean into what I was doing. So I started doing coffees in the morning because I wanted to have something hot when I woke up. And I started to have coffee in the morning. And then all of a sudden, I was having a coffee in the morning and a coffee in the afternoon, and then supper. And it became a habit, not something that I needed to do, not something I was doing because I was so hungry. It was a habit that I was into because I was doing it. So this year, no, 2 years ago, when I talked to Dr. Chafee, he explained to me that he thinks caffeine is another big problem for most people. You know, the toxins in the caffeine because it is the seed of the plant, and plants don't want their seeds to be chopped up into millions of pieces to make coffee. And they don't, and they don't want other animals eating them unless you're supposed to eat them. And so therefore, there are toxins in there. And Dr. Chafee helped me to understand that not only should I stop eating the vegetation that I was eating, because at that point I was still keto, but he helped me to understand that coffee's not great. I focused on the vegetation first. So I got rid of the all the vegetables out of my diet and the plants, sorry, the spices, like I said, like 2 days after that conversation with him. I spoke to my spouse, we talked it through. I started immediately, like within days. He did not start right away. Different reasons. We could talk about that another time. But the point is, I ended up continuing to have coffee twice a day until very recently. And yes, I'm going to be talking more about that once I just look at all the information and I get to my final landing spot. 'Cause I'm not where I'm going to end up yet. I'm not sure where I'm going to end up yet. But it took me a long while to decide that I was only going to have one coffee a day instead of two. And why did that happen? Well, partially, yeah, my brain is hooked on coffee. I have two a day, right? And it's not those little 7 gram dosing coffees, too. It's like a good 18-gram coffee dose in one coffee. That would be equivalent to like a double coffee. And I was having two per day. So that's four coffees a day. Do I think it's going to be easy to get myself down to no coffee? I don't know. But I'm at one coffee per day. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm I'm not sure how close I am to the end of this, but at some point I'm going to just stop having coffee and see, do I have withdrawal? Now, if I have withdrawal after just cutting it, I might either A, fight through the withdrawal, but I'm a little bit afraid to do that because I know that oxalate dumping and other kinds of dumping can come from almost anything. So I'm a little nervous to do that. What I might do is go down to a normal dose of coffee, so a 7-gram dose of coffee and have a regular cup size, and then switch over to having no coffee. So I'm playing with these two ideas, and it might be easier for me to do that than to just go cold turkey. But my point to you right now is that there's this mental part of it too. Like, I know that the idea of not having coffee kept me drinking the coffee more than the idea that I'm addicted to the coffee. It was just this thing of like, I have this beautiful espresso machine and I have all these, like, I have my whole morning routine that I go through when I make a coffee in the morning. And the idea that I wouldn't be doing that morning routine anymore is part of my problem. Then what would I be doing? And I have this beautiful machine. Is it just going to sit there? I'm never going to make, well, of course I can still make coffee because my spouse still drinks coffee. So it's not like I will never make a coffee again. That's not the point. The point is I have a story in my head of how my morning looks, and I wasn't ready to let it go. But interestingly, throughout the course of me making live streams, going all the way back to the beginning, any time that I went live with you guys, that was a day that I only had one coffee because I never have a coffee before I do this. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. Most people would say I should have a coffee before I do this to kind of hype me up and get me more energetic. But no, I don't. I don't have a coffee before because I also know that I want to be able to stay in here as long as I want to stay in and not have to worry about running to the bathroom, or right, or my coffee getting cold because I can't drink it as leisurely as I want to drink it, right? So I bring water to make sure I have something to drink just in case I need to, be able to keep talking. But I don't let myself have my coffee until after. I'd love to know from you guys, like, are you even paying attention to the mindset portion? Are you paying attention to the fact that it isn't just about knowing what to eat? It's about understanding that when I eat what I am eating, what impact is it having on my body? Protein, hmm, animal protein and animal fat have very positive impact on our body. They help us to heal, they help us to repair and to build. So it's like both sides of that coin. They help us, they help our natural stop eating signal to work. It's rare that I find myself mindlessly eating if there's zero carbohydrate in something. But I can remember going back to when I was still keto, and especially back to when I was still eating nuts, that if I walked by and there was a type of nut that I do eat, I would have eaten it, even though I wasn't hungry. And that was part of the reason I took nuts out of my life early on, because I saw that. It's like there's still that psychological part of the story that's not about the click in my brain because I hadn't touched nuts in how long, but Pat bought nuts, right? So he would have nuts, different person than I am, right? But I walk by it, I eat it, right? And I had to start telling him, I don't want to see your nuts when, like, wow, okay, nobody clipped that. I don't want to see. I don't want you to leave the nuts out on the table, like, oh Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna stop with that. Okay. I can't speak today. I think that when we know that something triggers us, and if it would have been chocolate, I think he would have known not to leave it around. But then the flip side of the coin is if it would have been chocolate, I wouldn't have eaten it because by that point I knew that chocolate was a trigger for me. What I didn't realize was how much of a trigger, seeds and nuts and other foods could be for me. I didn't understand that they were triggering me, but they were. And when I realized that, I decided no longer eating those things. So then when they were on the table, because I now knew, I stopped eating them. But it took me first having him not have them around for a little while so that I could get used to like I'm not eating that anymore. And then I was able to do it. So I'm going back to why am I saying this? Because a lot of us don't take the mental side of it. We don't understand that there's certain things that we say in our head. And if we don't change what we're saying in our head, that thing is going to keep playing on us. That thing is going to get us to eat what we don't actually want to be eating because we know that's going to make us gain weight. But we have the story in our head that, well, eventually I'll get to eat it, right? Because once this diet is, and that means that you will eat it at some point because you are thinking the diet will be over. If you're eating for health, then healthy eating never ends. You said yes, cream. I think it's a mental addiction. It's my break time. I sit and enjoy the taste of it. So what I will say is even though there's a very small amount of carbohydrate in heavy cream, so if you're talking about heavy cream, it's zero point 0.5 grams of carb for the serving size, which I think is a tablespoon. But the problem is most people put more than 1 tablespoon. Now, if you're talking normal cream, then the carb count goes up dramatically. And then that would explain it. But even for myself, so as a carnivore, what I did notice was making the switch from heavy cream in my coffee to not having any heavy cream in my coffee was a huge change for me. I still like my coffee. I figured out a butter thing that just tastes amazing. And I might share that in the video or in a video at some point. For those of you trying to transition and not knowing how to make the transition. So I might actually just film myself making it so that you guys can see what I do. The reason that I want to film it and show you is because we think that there's no other way to make a coffee taste the way we want it to taste. And you know what? I think that YouTube allows me to make image comments or video comments. I don't know why I heard that before, but if I have that turned on in my channel, I will add a picture comment to this stream of because I'm gonna make a coffee after this because I haven't gotten rid of all my coffees. So I will add a picture comment of what my coffee looks like right now with no cream, no milk, just butter for you to see what I'm talking about. And if you guys want to know about it, if like you want me to make an actual video about it, you let me know in the comments. So not in the chat, in the comments, and I will do that. Because I think a lot of people just don't know that there's something that we can do to get lactose, which is a milk sugar. And by the way, most people don't know that lactose is majority metabolized by our liver, which again means that it contributes to liver damage. Most people don't know that. They think it's like such a great thing to do. Weirdly, my morning coffee seems yucky now, so I drink cold water. It's what I crave in the morning. That's a great change, Laura, and it does kind of suggest that your mindset is changing, and it could also suggest that your taste buds are changing. If you've diminished the amount of carbohydrates in your life, um, your mouth might just want other tastes and want other things. So that's really cool to hear. That's me too, but in the afternoon. So you're doing it in the afternoon. Yeah, and I do feel like right now I'm having, and it's another interesting thing that I just decided to do. Like, which coffee did I remove? I removed the afternoon coffee because I didn't want to play the game with myself that the reason I'm drinking the coffee is because I need it to stay awake. I wanted to show myself that I'm having it in the morning. I'm fully awake. There's no problem. I'm having it in the morning. And then the rest of my day goes forward, I'm going to be fine. That was one part. But the other part is um, the afternoon coffee is the coffee that's more likely to interfere with my ability to sleep. So I thought, you know what, let's leave it in the morning. And that also opens the door that when I take my iodine later in the day, there's no possible negative interactions between the coffee and my iodine. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I did that as well. So, Laura, thanks for sharing your thoughts and ideas. I'm very grateful for all of you for being here. And let's just take a quick peek. Our concurrent viewers, our peak concurrent viewers looks like it was 22. That is amazing, guys. There was 22 of us here at any one point in time. I'm not sure how many are here in this moment because it doesn't show me that. Or does it? Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. That's not the peak. The peak would have been 23, I think. Okay, cool. 23. That's pretty cool, guys. 23 people chatting with me. Super excited about that. And next week I'll be back again. Don't forget to join the the conversation this evening at 7 Eastern. I'm going to be in there. We had a great chat last week. So I hope to, not last week, 2 weeks ago. I look forward to having a great chat with you guys again. Remember, still having the sale on the group, only $5 to join. It's going to go back to normal price soon, and then that's going to be the price that you have to pay going forward. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of the deal. I'm just trying to get a few more people in there because I want the conversation to be a bit more lively. So let's go. Talk to you guys in the next video. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Laura. I just saw your message. No mixing iodine and coffee then. I sometimes do forget in the morning. Thanks so much for the guidance. Yeah, like I know I've seen other people say they put their iodine in their coffee, but apparently that's the coffee. So when you take what do you call that stuff? When you take thyroid medication, they tell you that you can't take it near coffee because coffee messes with its ability to act to work. And what I have since learned is it's something to do with iodine and blah blah blah. So like I don't know all the science behind it, but I do know that that's not a good thing to do. So I really do appreciate you. Thank you, Laura, for getting me to reiterate that more clearly. So $5 group coaching, get in there. We're going to have office hours this evening. It's going to be cool. We're having nice conversations. Looking forward to talking to you guys. I will see you again for a live stream next Monday at 11:20. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Talk soon.